Blanche has been at it for 6 months. She was very reluctant. And when I spoke with her before, she said, the challenge with GLP-1 reporting is that I know that even in this room, I know the people who are on it, but they don't want to talk about it. That's another mindset that I will touch upon in just a bit. But Blanche, you spoke, you've chosen to speak about this, right? Tell me why, what changed?
Okay, so I started this GLP-1 drug on the 5th of April, and it's 6 months since then. I had a smooth, great and wonderful journey. I started this because, walking had become so difficult, so painful, and I had a very bad back to add to it. My medical reports were bad, not good at all. My HbA1c was around 6.4, cholesterol borderline high, and I was miserable. Every day I looked at myself, I said, how much can I go? I'm bursting, it was like death for me now, next. So I had to do something. I've tried all kinds of weight loss programs. I've done almost everything. In some cases, I did lose maybe a few kgs, but it all came back. There I had to make that effort on my own. Everything was on my own. But in this journey now with GLP-1, I have the backing of this drug. And I know that it slows down your digestion, so you feel less hungry.
We're actually not sure if it actually slows down your digestion or what happens. I'll come to that in a bit. But clearly, you're not feeling as hungry, and you've dropped quite a few kgs since then.
Yes, I have lost 18 kgs in the past 6 months.
18 in 6 months?
Yes. I felt like I could have lost more, but I have not been such a good person following exactly everything to the T. Maybe around 70% only of what I was told to do. But I have a great team backing me with Dr. Mufi and his team. So I have a dedicated clinical nutritionist, Kathy. So she's always there guiding me, supervising my journey and helping me through it.
Sure. So that's great. Let me bring in Mr. Thakur again on this one. So when I speak to people like Nirav, I speak to Blanche, I often think of it as these drugs at the moment are not perhaps for everyone. These are people who are affluent, who can afford it, who can perhaps manage to make it. If this has to be a movement, and we've spoken about it earlier, what can the industry do to make it more affordable? Because obesity, like I said, even with the UNICEF report, it's not the problem of the rich. It's not a Sobo problem or a South Delhi problem anymore. It needs to go everywhere.
So I would answer that in two ways. One, there are innovator GLP-1 products today, and the pricing of those are based on multi-factors. The efficacy of the product, the impact that it has on health costs for the system, the impact it has for a patient, and so forth. And so that's what's included in that. As a responsible company, we are focused on reducing the burden of obesity worldwide and in countries. Now, that's the innovator portion of GLP-1s. There will also be a generic portion of GLP-1s as well. And so there'll be expansion of that. In addition, I think that GLP-1...
How soon?
I can't talk about other products, but I will say that there will be generics of GLP-1s that will enter the market at some point. In addition, we are investing in a pipeline of products that are GLP-1, GIP-1, and glucagon receptors, because we believe that these different products will have different effects on blood glucose, on weight, and it will give clinicians tools that sometimes these products may be synergistic, that they can then personalize treatment for patients. And I think you heard, and patients are now looking for reduction in glucose, reduction in weight, but also looking at what can these products do for them in making them feel better.
Also reduction in complication. Currently it's still a shot, it's a pen, it's still an injection. How soon? I know Eli Lilly has done phase 3 trials already in the US. How soon can we have a pill?
Sure. What I want to just first start saying is, yes, you're talking about our pipeline of an unapproved product yet, which is a pill. So we are doing studies on that. As that comes forward, we will look to bring that to India as well. And if approved, I believe that product could have great promise for patients in India, particularly because we know that injections are sometimes not as easily accepted across the population.
Right. Dr. Joshi, we have to, when we talk about obesity, we cannot overlook the fact that the recognition is not there. Like I said in the beginning, when I speak to endocrinologists across, I hear them say that every second person in their clinic is perhaps the one who does not need it, who's currently coming in asking for it, and then there is resistance on the other side. I'm trying to understand what conversations do we need to have to get that narrative sorted?
So I think most important thing is that this is a disease modifying drug and a complication preventing medication. So if you're treating the root cause of obesity, which is the mother of say 300 diseases, mental health diseases, mechanical complications, heart disease, diabetes, cancers, and you're getting into lifestyle, muscle strengthening exercises, some yoga. I appreciate our Prime Minister talking of Fit India and the Yoga Day, some Surya Namaskar, some muscle proteins, then maybe appropriately indicated GLP-1 in the most sick cases. They benefit the best. Most of the outcomes come where we are able to save them from a heart disease or a kidney disease or a brain attack and complications like sleep apnea, for example. They don't need their CPAP machine anymore. So fundamentally, these are disease modifying drugs and they're changing their quality of life and we are able to avoid complications. So those are the people who really deserve it. And I think that is where the triaging comes in. This is not a pill where you are coming to fit into your gear for a marriage ceremony. That's equally important. And I recognize what Nirav thinks, that image is very important. And he went down a little bit because he realized that it was like a false sense of security. 5 years he lived with it. Then he dipped down. And again, he had Mufi and his wonderful team, who's a great friend of mine, who could get him back in order. Now he's got his buoyance back. And so is true with Blanche. So I think it's important to recognize that the most sick people deserve it the most. So we need to triage it. Secondly, the cost of healthcare is not in the medicine. The cost of healthcare is in the complications. If you have to go for a dialysis or for an angioplasty or for a bypass surgery, that is where the burden of the disease is. And therefore, I personally feel that yes, we want it to be affordable, accessible to every person on planet Earth. There is no two ways about it. But at the same time, if you have to triage it, we have to give it to the people who deserve it the most. And which is why we have a regulator, we have a regulatory oversight, and people whose BMI is about 27, they either have a high cardiovascular risk or have some diabetes.
Are you worried about overdose, especially when the generics kick in, when the patent lives towards the starting of next year?
As you very rightly said, people who deserve it the most often are not in our clinics, and people are there for the wrong reasons. And I think if somebody is 65 kilograms and wants to become 50 kilograms, they are depriving a person who probably is like a Blanche or like Nirav. So I think it's important to recognize that if it is available for everybody, probably we'll have to still triage it. And it is a medical drug. It is not an over-the-counter medication as it is made out to be. And it is not something which can be given, because every drug which works has effects and side effects.
Correct.
They need a monitoring. We need to sieve them out, that there are no gallstones, there's no history of pancreatitis, they are eligible for the drug, they are not likely to get complications. And this is just a starter. You still need to do lifestyle, you still need to build your muscle, you still need to take your protein on board. So I think it is important to recognize that.
Yeah.